Hello and welcome to Cherries Red Army, the fan show. It's been a few weeks. We are back on your screens on YouTube, nice and live, and we are going to have a tier list this evening. The reason for that is, I don't know about you, I don't particularly want to talk about the Villa result or the Man City result. We are going to touch on some stuff regarding the international break. I'm sure you've enjoyed it. Of course you haven't as AFC Bournemouth fans. Some of our key players have come back with injuries going into a big game on Saturday against West Ham. We will preview that around 9 o'clock, and it's going to be a big game because they have found some form, they have found some wins, and we need to get back to winning ways very, very quickly. We're sliding down the table. Good to have you on YouTube then. The interactive chat is open. Subscribe to Cherries Red Army, and if you're a subscriber, you'll be able to get involved on the interactive chat, talking to fellow fans, but also getting involved tonight on the player tier list. I've got Josh, I've got John, and I've got Matt with me. So get involved, say hello. Well, let's not waste no time. Lots to get through. Let's have an interactive stream. Let's have some fun, and let's get the rest of the team on with me this evening. Got John Spark, got Matt, and I've got Josh. John, good to see you. Look like you're preparing your new studio there.
Yeah, it's not fully ready, and there's probably going to be a fair bit of reverb coming back in because there's not a lot of furniture right now. But yeah, lovely to be back on. Lovely to talk about Bournemouth because it's been a long 2 weeks again, not watching Bournemouth.
It has. Right, let's get an introduction conversation going. Quick little question then, John. With our injury concerns that we have coming this Saturday, I mean, it's lucky Aaron's not here. He's not in a good way, guys. He's not in a good way at all, Aaron. He's worrying about all these injuries, especially in the final third. But if you could bring back one former AFC Bournemouth player, John, that could play on Saturday for Andoni Iraola, who would you bring back in his prime?
I think the only starter, as far as I know, that's injured is Semenyo, although Cliver arguably obviously would be as well, along with Gareth Doak. So we're short of wingers. So if there was a tricky winger that I could bring in to do something out of nothing, it would absolutely be Puri. Because on that left wing, I think he'd be able to produce a pretty similar relationship with Truffert that he did with Daniels as well. They're not too dissimilar in how they play, I would say, with Truffert being a little bit more reserved. But I think Puri would be, he'd absolutely fit right back in with this squad from his prime days.
Play along in the chat as well if you want to get involved on this early conversation. Matt, good to have you back again. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, Kirk. Thanks. Yeah, great to be here, lads, as ever. Looking forward to some decent chat this evening. Do you want me to go ahead and answer that question?
Yeah. What form of player would you bring back?
Yeah, John's stolen. So I've had to rethink it in the space of 30 seconds. So I'm going to go with, because there's a bit of uncertainty over probably the other centre-back position, I'm going to go with Nathan Ake because I feel like he would offer us real quality at the back there and real solidity whilst the other two are bedding in. So I think Nathan Ake in his prime would be a fantastic addition at this point. Because let's be honest, boys, we're shipping a lot of goals, aren't we? Particularly away from home. It's a concern, and although we need to address things in the final third, possibly with Semenyo's injury, with Kluivert's injury as well, and that leaves us with gaping holes there. There's also seems to be one in the centre of defence because Andoni clearly can't really decide and settle on who the first choice centre back is alongside Senesi. And I think if he had Nathan Ake there, then that would be a given, really, that he would start probably alongside Senesi. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Big Nath.
Oh, John, he's proposed two left-back centre-backs. Let's not go there. Left-footed centre-backs. Let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not go there. That's another debate. There is that.
Two left-footed centre-backs, I can't cope. Okay. Josh, good to have you back on again. Thank you for joining us this evening. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good to be back on.
Wonderful. If you could bring back a former AFC Bournemouth player to help Andoni Iraola this weekend and get us back on the winning road, who would it be?
Well, surprisingly, I was also going to say Mark Pugh, so that one's going to happen.
I'm glad I got that first.
Yeah, but I do think we need a left winger. I was thinking between maybe Stan, but I thought just Dan Juma, a bit of magic. I know it was only one season, but he was so good in the Championship, so I'll probably go with Varney.
And he does like a goal against West Ham, doesn't he, Mark Pugh? Albeit at Upton Park. Josh would go for Max Gradle. So we're staying on the attacking wide winger theme. And I'm going to go there as well. And I'm going to follow Josh. You just nearly taken it from me there, Josh. So I was thinking we do need an attacker. We do need someone to maybe unlock a defence. We do need someone with some trickery. We do need someone who decent from set pieces. I was thinking Stan. Obviously on his day, when he's fit, Junior Stanislas. I'll tell you what, if we had a fully fit Junior Stanislas this weekend, I reckon he'd slot in nicely. And yeah, a bit of fun. But we haven't got him, and we ain't got Mark Pugh either, so we'll have to find another way.
He'd 100% be injured by now, wouldn't he? So he won't be playing.
Nah,
if we'd had him 2 weeks ago, we might have done better with that free kick as well.
Yeah,
very true. And he might have taken the pen. He might have took the pen as well.
He would have taken the pen, absolutely.
Yeah. So, right, let's crack on with this evening. What we're going to do then, because we don't want to talk about Aston Villa result, we don't want to talk about Man City, and we don't want to talk too much about the international break. So this evening, we're going to do a tier list with you in the chat. Play along. We are going to have to fire through some of these quite quickly because we are going to chat about a few. But we're going to do a tier list, and this is based on player performances so far after 11 Premier League games. I think it's 11. And where we currently are in the season. Now, I've already put a few in not fair to judge. There's some youngsters in there, haven't got much game time, so they've gone straight in there. But your options are world-class, decent, okay, poor, not fair to judge. So going straight in, goalkeeper, John. Let's go for Jordi Petrovic. A lot of money. I felt like we had a really good start of the season where he was doing very well post-Anfield. I wasn't sure if he was actually getting worked. Well, he has got worked a little bit more recently. Where are you placing Jordi Petrovic after 11 games?
Right now, I'd absolutely put him in decent. I think there's been a lot of... I think after a few games, I think particularly against, I think it was the game after Forest, seeing on Twitter a lot of praise being given for Petrovic, and I'm like you, Kirk, in that he hasn't really had anything to do. He's made a few very good saves, but really everything that you'd expect him to save, he has saved, and that's something you can absolutely not hold against him. But I wouldn't say he's been world class. That's for certain.
My bad.
He hasn't. You're right. He hasn't really been worked. There's not a lot of There's not a huge amount of stuff he's been asked to do. I can't think of a goal that's gone past him that I think he should save that, really. Maybe one. But he's not had to make many outstanding saves. What he has been good with is with the ball at his feet. And as much as we are not a side that plays out from the back as much as other teams, he's very, very good at it. That's fantastic. He has been decent, I think, is a great description for him.
And I think I'll also add to that he's had some moments where he's needed to come for the ball later on, I think at Tottenham, and just take that pressure off the back four. We were winning 1-0. And yeah, let's see how he develops. There is a goalkeeper in there. Of course there is. We'll always look at the price tag at the end of the season. But he's doing well. I mean, I think he's doing better than okay. So we'll absolutely take that. What I would say as well, Josh and Matt, I know we want to fire through some of these because we are on this live stream. But if you have got some counter arguments, do jump in. If I don't hear anything, I'm just going to move on. So I'm going to put you under pressure, Josh, straight away. Why not? Let's just put you in for Julian Araujo.
Ooh. Well, I'm going to put him... It's a tough one, but I do think you've got to put him in poor. I think Araujo, for me, he just doesn't do enough. He's got the pace. He's quite athletically good. But defensively, I think he's poor. Going forward, he doesn't offer too much for me. I think right back's a really tricky one because I still don't think we've got that sort of nailed-on starter for us. Maybe it's still Adam Smith. We'll speak about that later, I guess. But for me, Araujo... He hasn't been on the bench in recent weeks, so I'd have to put him in poor.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
I would agree with that, Josh, 100%. But Kirk, are we judging it on this season? Because we can't. It's unfair to judge him on that. He hasn't had any minutes, has he? But I would agree with Josh's summary overall on the lad.
Yeah, it's difficult, and we are basing it on this season. But I mean, he picked up an injury as well, I think, early on, or whether that was at back end of last season. Something's not clicking though. I mean, did he
No.
play in the Brentford Carabao Cup game? Did he get sent off in that one as well?
I suppose that's all you can judge him on, isn't it?
I think he did, yeah.
So yeah, go on.
It seems a little bit harsh, but then it doesn't.
Yeah, from what we've seen of him so far in his tenure here, that's all you can say, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
what you can certainly say is that Josh was absolutely right. He's not even been on the bench for a lot of games. He did play that EFL Cup game, but out of 11 games so far, he hasn't made the bench for 7 of them. And we haven't. And with Smith injured, I think that he's very clearly not looking to hang around much longer. I don't think he's in Iraola's plans.
And the fact that he's also played James Hill ahead of Araujo, is he playing poor in training as well? And Lewis Cook.
Lewis Cook at right back.
I feel harsh that it probably should be not fair to judge, but I think there's reasons that we could probably keep him in poor, and I'm going to do it. I'll take that one then. If people have got issues with Araujo being in poor, put it all on me. And it's even more harsh, Matt, because the next player we're going to move to, who is going to get a lot of praise, is Truthert.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the one of the highlight out of the new signings that have come in. You'd have to say that he's probably been the most successful of the bunch so far in terms of him hitting the ground running. He had some big shoes to fill with Milos Kerkez. I feel he's a different type of player to Kerkez in some respects, in terms of the left back role and how he operates, how he works it, how he manages it. But he's been pretty outstanding and consistent, I would say, so far this season. He's slotted in seamlessly to that back four, which is exactly what we needed the players that were coming into those positions to do. And he's been solid defensively overall, and he's also contributed a lot in an attacking sense, linking up, play well down the left. So yeah, it couldn't have gone any better really in terms of the transfer fee, the business we've done, the money that we got him in for, and what he's contributed so far. It would, for me, it would be personally, I think it would be a stretch to put him in world class at this point. So I think he goes in, as you're putting him in, he goes in the decent category, along with Petrovic. But I would say out of all the new signings that so far, he's been the biggest success story for me in terms of his output, what he's contributed to the role, and his performances, and what he looks like from a future point of view and his potential. So yeah, decent for me.
And a proper left back for me, Josh, that has a proper delivery on him. I think even Nielsen just needs to read some bits off him, potentially. Maybe those deliveries just need a little bit more whip. But unlike Kerkez, who just used to fizz him in, Truthert is putting a little bit more curve and a little bit more finesse on the crosses.
Yeah, and he's just really comfortable in the team. I think straight away he looked slotted in quite seamlessly, built a nice sort of relationship with whoever was on the left wing. And I think he's just really good because he has that balance to his game where he can get forward when he wants to get forward, but he can also do his defensive abilities. And I think he's been a really, really good addition. And next to Senesi as well, who's had a relatively good start, it's been quite a strong left side.
Decent fee as well that we got from as well. So Truthert goes into decent with Petrovic. Steve Connor in the chat, I think he's talking about Araujo might be gone in January, maybe on loan, but yeah, I don't think he's got much part to play this season. Well, that's as long as we've got 16 players to pick from at least. John, you may have planned this, or you might have played this on purpose, because you've got Marcos Senesi, and I know that you've been particularly impressed with him of late this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the stats speak for themselves in terms of how important he is for us as our deep line playmaker. Really, if you think of you would expect your central midfield to be the metronome of the team, but it's typically most of our attacks sort of start from Marcos Senesi with his on passing. I mean, this was a few weeks ago, but the stats were basically the top 10 long pass attempters in the league was 9 goalkeepers, and somewhere in 5th or 6th was Marcos Senesi. He is the guy that sets us forward, and is not as successful as maybe some other players in the league, but he's right up there. And I think defensively he does a good job. I don't think he's as strong as Howson was in some aspects of his defensive work, but he is certainly aggressive, and that absolutely works well with Iraiola's plans. Before the last few game weeks, there would have been a genuine argument to say that he'd been sort of pushing into the world-class category. But I think after recent performances and just a general defensive displays, I think I'd have to push him down to decent. But if there was a group between world-class and decent, he would absolutely be in there. He's the closest one out of those three, I think, into world-class currently. And obviously he's worked his way back into the Argentina squad, so he's getting some international recognition for his performances.
Yeah, I mean, we all know about his pace. I go on about it most vlogs and most videos. I absolutely think Senesi's a fantastic defender. The minute he gets himself out of the wrong position or he gets caught, he just can't recover. But Matt, I know I highlighted, and I don't know if it was you that I highlighted it with or someone else, but I highlighted that what's sticking in my mind now is his poor performances, and albeit probably the team's poor performance as well, but are coming against bigger clubs. So Liverpool, I thought he was particularly poor. Man City, I'm trying to look back to, and Villa. I know as a team we were poor defensively, but he's sticking out in my mind, and he seemingly does better against mid-table, lower league table clubs. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if there's something there or it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, I think maybe he's been targeted a little bit. I think we saw it against Manchester City. I think teams of that ilk that are going to play through our press, as Man City did so successfully, because it was such a high line. Because he's not blessed with a tremendous amount of pace, and when you've got somebody like Haaland as a runner coming through that press, that's where they feel they can get the better of him. And I think that's been borne out, and it was the same probably a little bit at Anfield. He got caught out a few times high up the pitch. So when you've got the quality that the Liverpools and the Man Cities have got to play through our press, that's when he can become perhaps a little bit exposed. Whereas against the so-called lesser opposition that are not doing that so much, it makes him probably look a little bit more solid. And maybe if they're a bit more tentative in their press, because he's pretty good with the ball at his feet a lot, and he's technically very good on the floor. So he can showcase that a little bit more against maybe so-called lesser opposition as well. So it does highlight a little bit of a weakness. But that said, I think he can still compete at that level against the Liverpools and the Man Cities and still show himself up to be a top-class defender, and does so. But there's just moments where maybe he switches off, maybe he loses a yard of pace against the likes of Haaland when they played through our lines, and he can get a little bit exposed sometimes. But overall, yeah, I would agree with the assessment.
Yeah. So we are putting Senesi in decent, still got a contract that's running down, so we need to get that sorted. Don't want another Lerma situation, albeit didn't cost as much as Lerma. Right, guys, Julian Soler. Is it Julian?
Julio.
I got that wrong. Julio Soler. Not fair to judge, surely, guys.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. But doing all right with the Argentinian youngsters. Yeah. He was in the...
Yeah, he got to the final of the Under-21 World Cup.
Yeah.
Captain, wasn't he? Captain, wasn't he?
Again, what we got...
Was it CONCACAF? Whichever one.
Not sure, but he was in the younger group, wasn't he, with the Argentinian side? And I think what we got to be thinking about with Soler is we don't know if Trufert's going to burn out at some point. I mean, he came off against Aston Villa, didn't he? So, again, he's played a lot of games, Truffert, hit the ground running, but he may need some backup. So we'll see if Soler comes back into the fold later on in the season. Next one over, though, Josh. And you were talking about this guy, Adam Smith, picked up a really nasty injury at Villa Park. We'll find out how he's recovered from that. And thankfully, he did get up and he did walk off, but he did look badly shaken. Adam Smith, though, stalwart, picked up some injuries, come back, had that situation at Villa Park. We really need him back in this team ASAP, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Smudge looked really good as well at the start of the season at Anfield. I remember he played really well, and I thought he was going to have a really good year. So it was quite disappointing when he got that injury, and then he got really unlucky 2 weeks ago at Villa Park as well, hitting Tyler. And I think he's just a calm presence and obviously a leader that comes into our team. And I think he's still quite underrated, to be honest, I think, among our fan base, with just how impactful he is.
So where are you putting him for the moment? This is a hard one as well.
Yeah, I don't think Smudge has really had enough game time to put him anywhere other than okay, really. I think it's just he's been decent when he's played.
Araujo's going to be on the phone in a minute. You know this. He's like, come on, guys. He's probably played us about... No, he's played more minutes than Araujo. But you know what I mean? It's going to be tough to judge again. But yeah, absolutely. I think when Adam Smith's in, he just keeps going as well, guys. He just doesn't stop. This guy's going to be playing at like 45 years old, I swear. But we'll see what happens. John, I don't know if I've missed you out or if I'm coming back to you. No, Matt, let's go to Matt. Let's go Diakite, talking about centre-backs, and you were talking about bringing back a former centre-back for this weekend. But Diakite looked very good at the start of the season, likes to try and nick the ball early doors. He's looked a bit shaky, though, of late.
Yeah, he has. I mean, it's a bedding in process. He's come from a totally different league. Different nationality. There's probably some communication barriers there as well. So it was to be expected. It's not really a surprise. I think I would describe his start to his career at AFC Bournemouth as fairly solid. From Anfield onwards, I thought, we look like we've got a solid enough defender here who can step up and make the grade, hopefully. I would say that he's got quite a bit to do to prove himself still. I don't think he's been a disaster by any means. I think there's been flashes of solidity, like I've said, and him being a top-class defender. I think we've seen that in patches, but we've also seen him question marks raised about him, about his defending from balls into the box, particularly, I think, from crosses, and maybe his positional play at times, how he's reading the game. Getting used to the pace and the power of the Premier League is obviously a factor as well. So overall, a fairly solid start. I wouldn't put him in the poor crack category. I'd tend to go okay for him at the moment. I think there's a lot more to come. And I think we'll see a lot more from him. I think he's one of those players, really, that Andoni and his coaching staff have got a target to bring him up to speed. The pace and the nature of the Premier League. And just he's got to be a bit wiser. He's got to be a bit sharper at times. And I think a lot of that will be undertaken on the training field. I think you don't sign a player for that amount of money that we have. We've obviously lavished much praise on our recruitment team. They've been watching him for quite a while. Obviously, they see something in him, and I think I do as well. But I just think there's a lot of work needs to go on the training ground for him to develop, and I'm sure he will. But as it stands, I put him in okay.
Yeah, I do wonder if he's sort of defending with his heart over his head at times. That's how I'm sort of looking at it. But, he's definitely a defender in there. Any thoughts on that, John? I mean, he started off alongside Senesi, but
I think you can't really judge him too much on the Liverpool game because he'd been in the building for 3 days, I think. So it's I don't think any of us expect him to start because James Hill's there, and you think, given us a betting in time, but you put a lot of money into him, so why not? But yeah, I think as you said, in terms of head versus heart, he just tends to lose his man with a worrying frequency. Admittedly, when I'd say the main two examples are Haaland and Mateta, who are two of the best strikers in the league, but he is the more mobile of the two defenders. So he needs to stay switched on because he's going to be the one that's more likely to be tasked with following the striker. And if he can't do that, he's not going to stay at this level for very long. And it's a little concerning because, he's got Champions League experience, with his previous club. So you hope that it's just a case of a bit more time, getting more used to the system. He certainly won't have pressed like this in his previous clubs. I don't know whether he came through at Lille or not, but I totally agree with okay.
Yeah. Let's come back to you, Josh, and let's look at another right back, Alex Jimenez, who, again, leading up to the last few games, was starting to look like a proper right back. Again, I think he struggled with a few knocks. He picked up one at Man City. Again, it's going to take him time. He's on loan. There is potential to purchase him. What's your thoughts on Alex Jimenez? Because I wasn't sure at the start. I think he played at Leeds and he was a little bit all over the place positional-wise. but I do like more. The more I see him, I do like the stuff that he's got, and I think again, I think he needs nurturing.
Yeah, it's actually a really tricky one, I think, because I think Jimenez has been really hot and cold in his first couple of games. I think it was the first time I saw him, I think, was Fulham at home. And if I remember right, I think he came off at half time because he had a yellow card and was slightly getting stretched in that game. But then the next time we were at home, he played against Forest. I thought he was really good. And then at City away again, I thought he was really good and he was marking Doku and I thought he had a really good game. But then obviously at Villa, it was quite a tough performance for Jimenez, I think. But I definitely think there's a player in there and I like what I see from him going forward. I think he's got a lot of pace, creativity. I think he offers quite a bit on the overlap. But I also think he's quite strong in a tackle as well. Maybe gets caught out a bit positionally. But I definitely think there's a right back in there who can sort of nurture and mould into the system. And I think if you want to trigger the buy fee maybe and look at him at the end of the season, he could be one to look at. So I'd probably put him in okay, I think. He's been hot and cold for me.
Yeah, I would agree. Guys, are we saying that James Hill is not fair to judge? Is this quite a quick one?
Yeah.
I can't remember how many games he's played, and I think he's done well when he's come in last season. But are we saying it's not fair to judge so far this season?
I would say
James
so,
Hill?
Yeah, I agree. Just quickly on Alex Jimenez, I do think that he's the right back that we kind of hoped we were getting from Araujo.
Yeah.
I think I think what I've been most impressed by is that his ability on the ball. I think he's dribbled past a fair few number of wingers that have tried to tackle him, and he's done it with pretty consummate ease. The only thing is that he does look like a right wing back that's playing at right back at the moment. He's very wants to attack, and he looks like he's been playing like Kirkes did at the start of his first season with us, just on the right side. Is that he's a little bit shaky. You're a bit uncertain about what you're going to get from it sometimes, but when he goes forward, he's a threat. And we just need to provide a little bit more for him going forward at times, I think.
Okay, so let's finish the defence with your guy, John, Veljko Milicevic, I think. I'm doing better.
You're getting there.
I'm getting there. And he's been picking up man matches at home. He did have a difficult... No, actually, I thought he did all right at Villa. I know we lost 4-0, but I thought he did all right at Aston Villa. I thought if there was a positive, I thought it was Milicevic, John.
Yeah, I think Villa was the sort of like I mean, to be fair, the whole team didn't really play that well, but that was the sort of the more of a game for us to sort of see, like, how does he do against a player like Ollie Watkins when he didn't really get challenged to the same extent? Admittedly, to be fair, Danny Welbeck's had a really good season for Brighton, but he had a fantastic game against Brighton. But he's played three games so far, or started 3, and he's looked really good pretty much in all of them, certainly 2 out of 3. And when you consider that he's an 18-year-old that we picked up for about 13 million quid, like, in terms of value for money and potential, like, he's right up there. He's starting to get there's definitely a few sort of the Tactico and Stato guys on social media that are starting to go, like, look out for this guy, and he is impressing. And I would be putting him in decent right now. I think when you consider his performances, I think you can't really say that he's been anything less than that.
No. And Matt, for a tall guy, he's all right across the surface as well.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he's great. He reads for an 18-year-old. Yeah, he reads the game superbly. He's adapted when he's played to the Premier League. You would have to say better than Diakite, better than Jimenez. At such a young age, positionally as well. I've been impressed with him. He reads things and he makes up ground. He covers ground. He's good at getting blocks in. His defending has been great so far. Decent on the floor as well. So for such a young lad, he showed great maturity and bedded in really well. With all the same problems that the others have had with language barriers and adapting to the pace and the nature of the game. You'd have to put him in decent. I would 100% agree with that.
Wonderful. Okay, we are halfway through, or we're making our way to the midfielders in this tier list. Do subscribe to Cherries Red Army. Also smash the like button. Thank you to everyone who's joining us live. And if you're watching us back on replay, use the comments to tell us what you think about the tier list. But guys, I got to do it for the fans. I can't just play one game, can we? We have to do another game, and it's a regular now on the fan show. You know what we're talking about. We are talking about Guess the Player. Why do they do faces when I start talking about it? They start panicking.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what you're talking about. That's something
let's get our first hint out for Guess the Player before we head into the midfielders. So we know how this works now. Guess the player. So the career path started at AFC Bournemouth. He had a loan. He came back to Bournemouth. He went to Doncaster Rovers, hidden badge, hidden badge, hidden badge, hidden badge, and then retired. So that is hint one. Don't want any guesses yet. Let's go back and see if we've got any faces.
Got no clue right now.
Always comes to you in the hint two. Although Matt, don't give me any answers yet. Matt looks like he's got a bit of a.
I've got a bit.
Yeah, he's got a few players in mind. I know what's going through his head. There's a few players
Only one
in
at
mind.
the moment. Only one at the moment. Yeah.
Is it the Doncaster Rovers that is making you tick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, with a few loans. I mean, we've only seen Bournemouth and Doncaster Rovers, so I don't know who else it could be. So we'll get some more hints going in a moment. Let's head back to the tier list then. That's where all the action is. Let's head into midfield. Don't know where I am. Josh. Lewis Cook plays more games at right back than he does centre midfielder, and we know why, because we're going to come to him later, and that's Tyler Adams. But Lewis Cook started the season suspended, injured, but he's working his way back in.
Yeah, that was going to be the first thing I was going to say actually about Lewis Cook. I think he might be a better right back than he is centre defensive midfielder at the minute. I thought he was really good at Villa actually coming on. I was really impressed with Lewis, and I think alongside Velko, he's probably my only positive. But Lewis has had quite a quiet start really to the season for his standards, because he's had a bit of time out, and then he's sort of come in and just been solid off the bench for me. So again, I'd probably put him straight in the middle and in okay, because I don't think he's done much wrong. He's not done much amazing, but good squad player, I think, and he's the type of player we need.
I mean, it's almost not fair to judge, but it feels wrong to put Lewis Cook in that category because he's such a senior player now. So going for okay. Don't think anyone's going to come in with any counter arguments. And we'll move on then, Matt, to David Brooks, who looks like a man on a mission. Again, picked up a slight injury a few games ago, but is back in again. He's had the armband as well. Looks a refreshed player. Didn't think we'd see this player again. But he looks a man that wants to do something, can prove himself, and he's got the fire burning in his belly.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so pleased to see. I mean, just to sum up on Lewis Cook, I think he's a player that we will rely on heavily in the second half of the season because of his versatility. Can play a number of positions. He's become a bit like Adam Smith, Mr. Bournemouth. He's always 100% Lewis Cook. And in those dark winter months where the pitches are heavy, injuries take their toll. I think, maybe right back is his route back into the team. But yeah, we've not seen the last of Lewis Cook this season yet. I think we'll rely on him heavily in the second half of the season. Coming on to David Brooks, I mean, he's also becoming known as Mr. Bournemouth. And these are players we cherish, boys, aren't they? The likes of Adam Smith, David Brooks, Lewis Cook, because they've showed tremendous loyalty to this football club. They've been relegated with us. They've been promoted with us. They've stuck with us all the way through. And none more so than David Brooks with everything that he's been through. And I know I've waxed lyrical on this channel before about the character that he's shown and that the mental strength as well as the physical ability that he's shown to get himself back now to where he is and the credit that he deserves. He is a few assists and a few goals short of me putting him in the world-class category. I don't mind saying. If he could just add a bit more to his game in the final third, because what he does in terms of his build-up play, how he links play, the intelligence that he shows, he comes inside, he links up quick 1-2s, his vision, his ability to see a pass, to thread a pass. If some of that could just pay off a little bit more in the penalty area, and he could just nail it in terms of a few more assists and certainly adding a few more goals, then he would be in the world-class category. But we are now finally seeing the David Brooks that we signed, aren't we? All those years ago now, he's getting back to that level. And it is fantastic to see, because when he's at that level, at times he's unplayable. He can play left, right. He can play the 10. He's everywhere, and defenses and teams don't know how to handle him when he's on it. So that's what we need to see. We just need to see a bit more from him in terms of those goals and assists. So I'd have to put him in decent, but great to see the David Brooks that we all know and love back on the pitch and doing what he does best.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does look good seeing David Brooks with a smile. He looks happy with the team, especially when we have good match days. He's joking around with the lads. I didn't really see him as a leader. I can remember him being at QPR in the FA Cup with the armband, and he came off at half time, and I didn't understand that at all. But clearly Andoni knows him better than us, and there is a leader in there, and he really does pull groups of players together, and you're absolutely right. And he is so close to being a world class. So more of this to come, hopefully, from David Brooks staying fit. John, another player that stepped up to the plate, and it's really good to see. And he's sticking someone on the bench. That's Ryan Christie sticking on the bench, but it's Alex Scott we're talking about. Had a recent call up, didn't actually get on the pitch for England, but things are also going in the right direction for this young lad from Guernsey.
Yes, our Guernsey Grealish. Yeah, he's another one that's sort of pushing on to world class in terms of our group and our groupings here. Again, don't think I can really put him there. In terms of what he brings to the side, it's fantastic, and you can see the confidence that he's got as well in that he's taking on his takes on his man. With far more regularity now, and he's still the kind of player that like Jack Wilshere was. He'll attack and you know that he's likely to get fouled. He's the kind of player that very rarely gets past a player and isn't taken out because he's gone before they realize it, and before they try and kick the ball, they end up kicking him. But he's obviously already chipped in with a goal, a really nice goal already this season.
Just need more of them to come, I think.
Yeah, just need a little bit more impact further up the pitch in terms of goals and assists to sort of really sort of for people not to look at his name in the England squad and go, what? Because people that have been following Bournemouth can say, like, look at how well he's been playing, and then anyone outside of Bournemouth is going, what, 1 goal in 11 games? What the hell is he in the England squad for? And that sort of like, his performances have been great, but they've not been, oh my God, you need to start looking at Alex Scott. He's tearing things up. Great. So, he's doing really well, and he's really looking like the player we signed, but there is definitely more to come from him. So he's absolutely indecent at the moment.
Wonderful. And is Alex Scott indecent, Josh, because Tyler Adams is there just mopping up stuff, allowing Alex Scott to have that vision, break up the play, get it going forwards, get it to Alex Scott in positive areas. He can then play between the lines. And Tyler Adams is a crucial player for us through that spine.
Yeah, I would just say on Alex Scott, I actually think he's probably borderline world class for me. I think he's just indecent, but I think the improvements he's made has been outstanding. And it's fully deserved to call up. Bit disappointing he didn't play, obviously, but I think Alex Scott's been really good. But Tyler Adams, I'm probably quite biased here. I think you know that. But I think he's been outstanding again all season. I think he's brilliant in.
That's not an option.
Yeah, well,
could he go in world class?
Yeah,
could he go in world class?
I think I would, because I think Tyler Adams' work off the ball, on the ball, breaking up play. I think he's such a crucial part of our team. He turns each sort of defensive action, and then we can counter attack through Tyler. I think we win the ball back, and maybe he's a walking red card at times. I'm surprised he hasn't got one, especially at Villa. I think he got a little bit lucky at times, but I think Tyler's been excellent, and you see why he was sort of linked with teams like Chelsea before he joined us. I think he's been sensational
and refreshing, Matt, that he's staying fit.
100%. I mean, I would put him in world class. He was the player. I think last time we did this stream, he was the player I championed as player of the season so far because of what he offers the team. Without him, we don't tick. We're not an offensive force, and he shields that. He screens that back four so well. When Jefferson Lerma left, we all thought, oh no, what are we going to do? Where's our number 6? We've massive loss, but he's an upgrade. He's an upgrade on Lerma, no doubt about it. So he goes in world class for me. I think he's had a phenomenal start to the season, and the fact that he's touched wood, stayed fit. I know there's a little bit of a doubt he didn't go away with America
Oh, we just lost Matt. Go on, John.
Are you? Oh, he's back.
He's back. He's back.
Yeah. How
Go
much
again.
of that where did I cut off? Yeah.
America.
But I'm not going to America.
Not going to America. Hopefully not too serious, but he's stayed fit, which is a massive plus. Which means he's Mr. Consistent. He's Mr. Dependable. And if there's one name that is missing from the team sheet on a match day, if it's Tyler Adams, you worry at the moment, don't you? So that speaks volumes. You think, oh, that's a huge miss today. You know, the likes of Anton Semenyo, yeah, of course. But if you're missing Tyler Adams, that's a huge miss. And yeah, he's just been so consistent and so pivotal to what we do with how we press. You know, he's such a linchpin. And so I'd definitely put him in world class.
Yeah, some good comments in the chat as well, John, from fans talking about Tyler Adams. And I didn't know if we'd have a world class, but I think we have got a world class tonight.
Yeah, just very quickly is that he doesn't do a lot in terms of, like, when you look at Caicedo, what he's doing this season, when you look at Rice, what he's doing as a midfielder, he does one thing, but he does it better than almost anyone else in the league. And you know, just in terms of his FBref stats, he's in the top 2% for tackles for midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues. His defensive stats are ridiculous. He doesn't do anything else, really. He doesn't need to do anything else. He gets the ball, he gives it easy. That's all you need. You need that disruptor in this team, and he does it outstandingly.
Perfectly, yeah.
I'm going to bring 2 players to your desk now, John. 2 Scottish players who are going to the World Cup. Now, one guy is Ryan Christie and the other one is Gannon Doak. And 2 very different players. I think Ryan Christie probably broke his body last season trying to help us, which has probably hindered his chances this season. I feel personally both of these are going to go in okay for this season. But do you want to quickly do a conversation on both of them and tell me where you want to place them?
Yeah, I'm just sort of looking to double check sort of how much he's played. And Ryan Christie has features in 9 games for Bournemouth so far this season.
Really?
So you know, he's played enough. He's got 227 minutes. Obviously scoring 1 goal.
Because he picked up a really bad groin injury trying to play through that season, and it caught up with him last year.
Yeah, and it was and I think that it was seen by most fans that, like, when we dropped off, it was because Ryan Christie was injured. Like, we, above all else, I think, as much as the entire team would have been more tired, like, not having Christie in there was absolutely massive for us. This season, we haven't seen it as much because obviously Alex Scott has performed really well. And importantly, Tyler Adams has been fit. So your ball winning has been sort of found within those 2. But yeah, I mean, he's still a player that, you know, if he comes off the bench is gonna have an impact. I mean, it was that the Crystal Palace game. I remember watching that, and my girlfriend was next to me, and Christie came on the pitch, and it was 2-2, and we were really struggling. And I was like, "Really, Christie?" And she said, "Don't worry, he'll score." And lo and behold, he went and flipping scored. He's a player that I'm surprised we're not missing more, but you know, if he comes on, he's going to have a positive impact for us. But yeah. So far it's got to be okay. And then Ben Gannon Doak, you know, has an assist to his name at least, which is good in the Fulham match. And you know, he's 19, he's still young.
This is a step up for him. I know he's come from Liverpool, but this is a step up now. He's probably done some training with the Liverpool first team, but he is now really in with a Premier League club that's at the moment competing in the top 10. And this is a step up.
Yeah, I mean, he will definitely have trained plenty with the Liverpool squad because he would have been a reserve as much as he would have still been playing with the under 21s on match days. But he got very, very rave reviews from his time on loan at Middlesbrough. Was really highly rated from performing well in the Championship, and you know, doing well as a starter in the Championship, moving on to trying to get minutes here and there in the Premier League is a big change, obviously, with location, with players. Obviously, we got Christie in there with him as the Scotsman. But you know, when you're used to playing frequently as he was for Middlesbrough, going back to playing barely any minutes is a difficult shift. And wingers have to come on and have to impact games. And he's 19. He's still got a lot of learning to do. And He's got some bulking up to do, but what you can see is you see for him when he plays for Scotland, and unfortunately, he obviously picked up that injury early in that game. Is that he's a vital player for them in terms of providing something completely different that no other player in that in that nation can provide. And what you want to see when he comes on the pitch for us is using that trickery, is being able to put in a decent cross or two. Sorry, don't know why my camera's gone off. Hopefully, you can still hear me.
We can hear you.
But yeah, we just want to see more of that from him. And when he comes on the pitch, and fingers crossed, he's not injured for very much longer. But
Cool.
Okay, I would put him in.
Yep, absolutely fine. John, see if you can sort out your camera or come up with an alternative version. But this is why we love YouTube. This is why we love live streams. There's no gimmicks here. There we go. We're back to normal, and we are back on the tier list. So yeah, I would agree with that. So now we're going to go into some really key areas, Matt. And this is an interesting one. Marcus Tavernier. Because I actually think he is looking back to his form. But then again, when I think he's turning his form around, he looks all right. And I just think, oh, you could do a little bit more there, Marcus. But he has added value in the stat area so far after 11 games.
Yeah, he has. I think he's had a decent start to the season by his standards. Frustrating player. I think he frustrates the hell out of all of us at times. I think he gives the ball away too cheaply, gets dispossessed too easily, loses possession, or his final ball at times is poor, too poor, very, very frustrating. But the reason Andoni loves him is because he fits perfectly into his system and how he wants us to play, because the energy that he's got, his fitness levels and the work rate that he goes through is absolutely phenomenal. He'll run all day, and of course he's versatile as well, so he can play in the 8, he can play in the 10, he can play in either of the wing positions, left or right. So he's got that versatility about him. And I can imagine he trains well, and I can imagine he's pretty much a dream to manage. So that's why Andoni loves him. And there are times where he does come up with end product, as we saw against Nottingham Forest, or as we saw with these couple of assists I think he's got this season. So he has got that in him, but he just doesn't do it enough. So yeah, I agree, Kirk. I think he's had a solid start to the season. I would put him. Yeah, very much halfway between okay and decent.
He needs his own category.
Yeah, he does, but just call it the Marcus Tavernier category in between. Just put Tav.
I don't know, and I'm a big Tav fan. I don't know if he's done enough to put himself in decent.
He's had a decent. I would say he's had a decent start to the season by his standards. I think he can do more. I think he can frustrate less. He has to offer more quality at times. So I'm happy to put him in decent, Kirk. I'm in a good mood. It's Wednesday night.
Nice. We'll take it. Okay, let's move on. And I'm going to put very quickly, guys, it's good to see NSU now back in the matchday squad and back from a long-term injury, and maybe he can have an impact. He did against West Ham last season late on, so we might need that again Saturday. Are we putting not fair to judge for NSU now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right, rattle through. Josh, talking about someone that frustrates, and this guy on his day is absolutely fantastic, can pull anything out of a bag and can absolutely win you a football match. But my gosh, Justin Kluivert can frustrate me.
And he's been quite one-dimensional, I think, this season. It's every time I think Kluivert picks up the ball for me, it looks like he's trying to shoot every time. He doesn't really look wide. I think Justin just looks centrally and he wants to score. And, he pulled one out the bag against Fulham, didn't he, with an absolute wonder of a goal. And that was an absolutely huge goal for us. But,
off the bench.
Yeah, and it was a big impact. But I think when Kluivert started, I think he's been really poor. I think at Villa, for me, I just didn't notice him enough. And compared to Kluivert of last year, I don't think he's been particularly the same player for me in terms of his press as well off the ball. He just looked a little bit slower. I don't want to put him in poor, but I'm slightly feeling like okay is good for Justin.
Did he miss pre-season with an injury?
Yeah, he has struggled. He has struggled for injuries. And I do wonder if his form last season is being marked against this tier list because we know how good he can be. Yeah. But he just frustrates me. The amount of times he goes missing in football matches, and I just think he's more of an impact player now. But then again, there is a counter argument that and again, I've heard it in the chat before, actually, when we were on that ridiculous run of winning games it always had Kluivert in there. When we didn't win or get points, it didn't have Kluivert in there. So it's a real difficult one with Justin Kluivert. But and I also think he's a player that's up and down with how happy he is, morale, and I also think sometimes he can be a bit of a loose cannon as well with regards to his head if he gets wound up.
Yeah.
But definitely a player in there. Definitely can win a football match. Definitely helped us against Fulham. Need to see a little bit more though, and it may be just down to injuries. Amin Adli, John. Oh, I was so excited about this guy. He came. I know you didn't see. He came off the bench and he was lightning. Took players on before the Brentford Carabao Cup game. Really struggled at Leeds when he got a start. Definitely, I think this guy's trying to settle. If there's a time for Adli to arrive, it's this Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, of all I've seen him, I have to put him in poor. I think I can't really say that he's been okay. I think it was the which game was it that he came off the bench and everyone was raving about him. I didn't see it.
It might have been Wolves.
I don't think it was Wolves.
Wolves at home.
He started at Leeds.
No, it was Wolves. That was it, because I only saw the first half against Wolves.
Yeah.
And he came on towards the end of the game, and all I could see on Twitter was people talking about Amin Adli. And since then, he hasn't put in anything close to an okay performance. Apart from he put in
Don't write him off yet, though.
He put in one amazing press against Leeds that ended up in a fantastic tackle, which I did love to see. So I think he absolutely fits in with the team, and I do think his work rate is there, and I'm sure the quality will be there. You don't get that many appearances for a Leverkusen side that went and did the double and went invincible in the league without being a really good player. But he's obviously stuck behind Semenyo and Brooks at the moment, so we'll just have to see more of what comes of that. But I think he has to go in poor. Just very quickly on Kluivert, I remember seeing him come off the bench against Man City, and I was so annoyed with Tavernier at Man City for just not really doing enough at all in that 10 position. And Kluivert comes on and he makes all the kinds of runs that Tavernier was not making. And I think Tavernier against the better sides, I do not think Tavernier works in the 10, but I think Kluivert absolutely can, because he's an impact player now. If the ball ends up in the right position, he could produce anything. Whereas Tavernier is the more sort of consistent guy. It doesn't work against your Man Cities and your Liverpools. You just want someone to be able to take the ball and just decide that he's going to score from 35 yards out. And I think Tavernier can do that. I think Kluivert can do that. But yeah.
Next up then, Matt, is a French youngster who I think's had an impact in his international break. Junior Krupi, star boy, Josh K, biggest fan, by the way. Always wears the T-shirt, always wears the football shirt and scores on most vlogs. I mean, look, he's taken his chances. He saved us at Leeds. He scored a really good goal against Nottingham Forest. He's taken his opportunities. I wonder, we'll come to this later on in a bit, whether his impact will now come wider rather than down the middle. But very much, I'm seeing a player that knows where the net is, and that's what Aaron was talking about last time out.
Yeah, absolutely. Phenomenal start to his career. Again, we talked about Milos at the back, showing maturity beyond his years and exceeding expectations. Because, as we said, or as I've said before on this show, this was a lad that we were investing in for the future. So you're thinking, it might take a year. He might get bit part play. Might bring him on a sub for the last 5 or 10 in a few games. Give him some minutes. Get him used to the league. Get him embedded into the team. But he's hit the ground running. He's hit the ground absolutely running. From the moment he come on at Leeds and gets that goal. What a fantastic goal it was, and the maturity he showed in that, peeling off to the back post with the finish. He's been phenomenal. He's a fox in the box, and he can sniff out an opportunity on the goal line, which is what we've been lacking. He's totally different player to ever, obviously totally different to Unai. So he's exactly what we need from that aspect. And there's so much more to come from the lad. All I would say is, let's hold our horses a bit here, because he is still a young lad. And he does show, we saw against Manchester City how naive he can be. He's almost too keen. No reason for him to be offside in the first minute. Should have put us 1-0 up. That's a different game if he does. Yeah, he strays into an offside position. It's a simple tap in. A more mature striker doesn't do that. They hold the line, they put the ball in the net, and we go 1-0 up early doors at the Etihad, which puts a different complexion on things. So, he's going to show naivety. He's going to frustrate at times, but from what we've seen overall, He's had a fantastic start. I mean, I'd be loath to put him in world class, Kirk, and I know you're hovering into the decent. So it's probably
I'm doing it for Josh. I'm not doing it
yeah.
for me.
I know he loves him, Josh, and rightly so, because he's been phenomenal from what we've seen so far. But let's just keep things in perspective. He is a young lad. He's still learning the game. He's learning the league. He's learning a lot, and he will learn that in this team under Andoni. But decent start, and he's got to be at the top of decent, doesn't he? Really, because it's more than we could have ever hoped for and expected from such a young lad coming into the side this season.
2 players to go. 1 exceptional head coach to finish it off. Josh, the next player, who I know you think a lot of, needs to score a few more goals, though. He picked up an injury as well. That's Evanilson. Your thoughts on Evanilson so far? And actually, the goal he has got, for me, was very generous. Very generous. Do like the guy. Do think he offers a lot up top. Do like his sort of interplay. Needs to find some goals, though, Josh. Needs to find some goals soon.
Yeah, and I think he's almost been the complete opposite, maybe, to Crope, who's had limited minutes and maximised his goals, really. I think in front of goal for me has been quite poor. I just don't... There's not been many chances, I don't think, forever. It feels like when he's on the pitch, we don't create enough for him, whereas if Crope's on, I think Crope has 3 or 4 chances in maybe a 15-minute spell. So in that regard, I think he needs to just play maybe a bit higher up. But I think whatever brings is his link-up play, where he does drop and he'll, pass the ball to Tab or Semenyo and link up quite nicely. I think in that regard, he's really nice. He's quite agile as well for a number 9. And I think for me, I would put him in okay. I think, for £40 million, I think you do need to ask more questions now. It's your second year. He's been at the club now and he needs to start scoring goals, and Crope will take his place if he doesn't. But I think he's been okay for me.
Yeah, and I don't think he needs to panic too much if you're watching ever, because you've got plenty of time to turn this around. Look, we'll do a return of this later on in the season when we're coming to the end, and I'm sure you would have worked yourself up, hopefully. But everyone, I think, is a big-time fan of Evanilson, and I think that's why he's in okay. I think he's in okay because we expect a little bit more. But again, is it all his fault? He does look for the runs. The ball doesn't always come, but again, I think as I said about Trufert's got a great cross on him, but Evanilson doesn't seem to read it all the time. So more to come. Still really early in the season, and Evanilson's got time to climb up. Someone who is going to be very close now to the top, John, and we'll all have a thought on this, is Antoine Semenyo. The media have suddenly got their books out. They're suddenly starting releasing stuff on X. Semenyo's got a fee, possibly going in January. Even Mark McAdam's come into the X room and given his thoughts. Semenyo, fantastic start to the season, John. No goals in 4 games.
Yeah. If we had done this maybe even 3 weeks ago, you really wouldn't even have hesitated to put him in the world-class category. When he set off like a house on fire and he had 6 goals and 4 assists in the first, 7 games. He was really showing himself to be the best attacker in the league. I don't agree with Mark that his head's been turned, because that's just not how. I just don't see how that works, because when you consider the teams that we've played recently, and I think you think of the actions that he's taken, and certainly you don't expect him to miss a penalty. Well, actually, to be fair, with how bad things were going against Villa, I absolutely expected him to not score that penalty. But that's just because of how things were going in the game. It was just it's why we're not talking about the match that much. It's just how the match was going. It didn't look like we were going to score for a month of Sundays. But he has been poor these last few games. It's and the frustration for me is that what is his game? What do you see when you get the best out of him? You just look at that first goal against Fulham, and he faces up not just 1 but 2 players, and he bombs on past them. And against Man City, every time the ball got to him, and he was 1-on-1 with Nunez, who's not a right back. He's he does a good job at right back, but he's not a right back. He's a central midfielder filling in. You can get past him. You can absolutely run past him. And he did it. I think he tried to take on his man maybe 3 or 4 times in 90 minutes. And that's just not enough when you're receiving the ball 50 times. It's just not enough. He's not doing what is the best part of his game, which is dribbling at his opponent. He's not, he's tricky because he can be really quick, and he's too slow. He takes ages to make decisions. It's like he's not quite Jordan Ibe territory, but at times you are feeling like, come on, man, just decide, make a decision in a second and do it, rather than just wait and pass backwards. He needs to play more instinctively. And at the moment, I think because he attracts quite a lot of players to him, if he's a little bit quicker at getting the ball to other teammates, he can use his gravity to help bring more out of the rest of the team. But he's just being a little bit slow the last few games. And I do think there's a bit of a holdover from the off season, when I don't think he rested. He probably didn't rest enough, given how tired he was at the end of last season. Because you saw those personal training videos on Twitter that he worked really hard in the off season. He probably should have rested more, because he does look like he gets tired quite, after an hour in matches. So, I think I can't put him in world class at the moment because he just isn't.
No.
But if we'd done this a month ago, it wouldn't even have been a doubt.
Should be world class for me. Is decent because of the last period of form before the international break. The thing is, Matt, he did this last season. He was fantastic at the start, went very patchy, then came back later on in the season. And I was thinking, is that Semenyo, or is he going to be a player that can arrive most weeks? But 4 games now with no goals and no assists, we expect more. And I can't believe, really, he should be in world class in this, the way he started the season.
Yeah, he should be. I mean, we do ask a lot from him as a team, and as fans and as a club. We do ask a lot from him. It's not often that you see him substituted on 65 minutes, is it? And yet some of the other wingers, the winger on the other side and the 10, normally are the ones to make way. So there's a lot of times where he'll go longer than 60, 65 minutes. He'll go right to the end sometimes, because I think we've become quite heavily reliant on him because we know what he's capable of. We're waiting for him to be the spark, to be the catalyst, and to produce that magic every time, like he did against Fulham. He single-handedly turned the game in our favour. And we're almost a little bit heavily reliant on him to do that, maybe a bit too much. The guy's not superhuman, although at times he shows that perhaps he is in fits and spells. So I think there is an element of burnout there over the last few games. But there's also obviously the element of maybe not so much his head's been turned, but he's become a little bit unsettled with what's going on behind the scenes. And that's now been leaked out to everybody, and the world and his dog knows about it. So there is an element of that going on as well, which is a little bit disappointing, because I was really hoping that he would use this season as a marker to put down, to say to clubs at the end of the season, after he's been pivotal in perhaps getting us into European football, of look at the season I've just had, look at my numbers, look at what I've done. This is phenomenal. I should be going to a Liverpool or to an Arsenal for 100 million plus. And it just seems as though that's petered out a little bit, and we're not going to reap the rewards of that. Obviously, there's a £65 million release clause in the contract, because his agent's been very clever in negotiating that. And that's what it's become. So that suited the agent, the player, and not so much us as a football club, really. So I was delighted when he signed the new deal in the summer, because I thought he's showing commitment there. He's showing that he wants to stay with us and get his big move in May. When we've had a successful season as well as him. Now it's becoming more about him and less about us, and that leaves a bit of a bad taste in the mouth, really. And I know agents play their part in that, but that's what it's done, Kirk, if I'm honest. So I agree. You can't put him in world class at the moment. He's still got a heck of a lot to do to get into that category and and be a force at a Liverpool or an Arsenal for me.
And because of what Bristol City will get as well, we'll get even less than that as well. So we'll have to.
That has an impact as well. Yeah.
Josh, you're going to stay on for the last part of the show, and we'll talk about West Ham, and I think we'll come back to Semenyo. So we'll just wrap up this tier list then, because I know Matt's got to shoot off very, very soon. Josh, just take this one then. Just bring it home. Andoni Iraola. Give us a few minutes' thoughts and place him after 11 games.
Yeah, straight in world class. I'll start with that straight away, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
you know, the last 2 games have obviously been tricky, but I think we can all admit Andoni's the main man behind this whole operation. I think with Semenyo, I mean, he's been obviously unbelievable and he has petered out a little bit, but I think we can all agree if we lose Antoine Semenyo, I think we're all a lot more confident about replacing him rather than if we replace Andoni Iraola. I think that's the main thing. And you know, we're always entertaining. You know, we want to win games, and at Villa, I know we were terrible, but I thought it was really telling about Iriola's just philosophies when he put Marcus Tavernier left back and Lewis Cook right back. I thought that just meant he just wants to win, and he's brave and he'll make decisions. And you know, we end up losing 4-0, but it's still the way I'd want my team to play. Always play on the front foot, try and chase games, try and score goals, and yeah, he has to be world class because there aren't many better managers in the Premier League for me than Andoni Iraola, and to have him at our club is amazing.
And I tell you what, as well, I think I was speaking to Aaron the other day, and Aaron was, you know, couldn't believe the news that Semenyo had come out, and we knew there was a release clause in there. I thought it'd be 75 million at least, but you know, I was saying, do you know what? As frustrating as some of these players that, and we know what we are now as the model, we are the Brighton, although I do think Brighton probably would have got 80 million, but anyway, that's a different conversation. We know what the model is. I just want these players to hang around a little bit longer, and it goes back to Sabani for me, which I just wanted another season out of Sabani. But I can just about move on from some of these big time players that do leave us because we've still got Andoni Iraola, and it's a bit like the old Eddie Howe. I look now and just think, oh, when Andoni goes, and it will happen, I just hope we can recover from it, and we've just got to enjoy it. We have so got to enjoy every moment we get to watch this team under the guidance of Andoni Iraola, because I'm not convinced he's here next season. I'm really not, but I think we will come back to that, won't we, Matt, later down the road?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all that's been said, I've waxed lyrical about the fella before. You know, he's destined for the top, and whoever that is, whether he goes back to Spain eventually and takes a big job there, or whether he gets a top job in the Premier League, whatever it is, that's what he's destined for. Probably at the end of this season, like you say, I'll be surprised if we get another full season out of him. But I think he is an honourable man as well. I think he'll do the decent thing. I think he will see the season out with us at least. And if that's the case, then we've got every chance of having a successful season, no matter who comes and goes, because he's got this uncanny knack, as Josh was saying, of knitting a squad together. We saw it last season, didn't we? 10, 12 injuries, and yet we had the best period of our season because he just comes up with solutions, and that's what a great manager does. They work with what they've got, like Eddie Howe did in the early days, back in the depths of League Two. You come up with a solution, you find the answers, you knit a team together, you create that unity, you create cohesion, you create a unit to play football in the style that you want to be played in, the identity. You don't deviate from that. And Andoni Iraola won't do that. And we all love the style of football he plays, his bravery. He's not afraid to make decisions. He'll go all out to get a point from game, to score a goal, to nick a win, instead of, put 10 men behind the ball and see it out at 1-0. And it's just so refreshing, and we've been so spoilt. And when it comes to an end, hopefully there's a contingency plan in place. I'm confident with the board. I think we've got great owners in place now, great business people and great football people at the top in Thiago Pinto and Simon Francis. So hopefully there is. But it's questionable as to whether that manager can live up to what Andoni's done. But we can only live in hope, boys, can't we? And just enjoy it while we've still got him.
Right. There's the tier list then on this latest stream here on Cherries Red Army. If you've watched this back on replay, do let us know your thoughts in the comments. And thank you for all your comments in the chat. We're not done yet, though. I know you're running a little bit late, Matt. Have you got 2 minutes? Or I want to get this guest to player, because Matt's got to jump off very, very, very soon. So that's your tier list. Let's head back to guest the player. Then we're going to move on to West Ham preview. See, lots to go through. Time just flies when you're live on YouTube. Okay, so guest the player. Hint 1 was Bournemouth on loan. Bournemouth, Doncaster, hidden badge, hidden badge, hidden badge. Hint 2 for you is AFC Bournemouth, Salisbury City on loan. Bournemouth, Doncaster Rovers, Yeovil Town, Havant Waterlooville on loan at Weymouth, Havant and Waterlooville, and retired. And I can hear some laughing, probably coming from Matt. So now in the chat, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity. It's time for said it's easy. Matt said it's easy. Guess the player this week. Let's go straight to Matt then. He thinks he's got it. We have got some names dropping right in the chat now, Matt. Let me just put that second hint on the screen one more time. There it is. Who are we talking about, Matt?
Well, having been a fan for 40 plus years, Kirk, I would never forgive myself if I didn't get this one, because it was a player that was involved in many a happy memory for me watching the Cherries, 25 years ago now. It is the one and only James Hayter.
Oh, John, are you going to follow Matt? On mute.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, there's only one player that could be, and I'm annoyed I didn't get it before I saw the comments. But yeah, soon, because the Yeovil was what should have given it away for me. I've forgotten about the Doncaster bit, but I know he had a time at Yeovil. But yes, it's definitely Hayter.
Josh, any challenges? Probably not.
No, it was a little bit before my time, but I'll agree with that. I wouldn't have got it from the Doncaster one. I'll admit that. I wouldn't have got that.
So okay, I was there, boys, back in 2004 when he got the fastest ever hat trick. And that is still a record to this day. It was a hat trick in, I think it was 2 minutes 20 seconds or 2 minutes 30 seconds. We played Wrexham at home Tuesday night, February 2004, beat them 6-0. Hayter come on and got a hat trick within 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
2004, wasn't it? 2004.
2004, yeah.
And his parents left, and his parents came to watch him, and they left the ground before he even came on as a sub.
Yeah, because he lived on the Isle of Wight. They lived on the Isle of Wight, so they come over to watch him, and they had to leave to get the last ferry back.
What a player! There we go. Guess the player. Matt nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. It was James Hayter, and well done to you in the chat. Right, Matt's going to drop off now. It's been great to have you on this stream, Matt, with the tier list. Very, very quickly. Score prediction for Saturday?
I think we'll win the game. We have to win the game, really, for me. West Ham, improvement of late, but conceding goals still. Not convinced about them at the back. If we can keep the door shut at the other end, I'm going to go for a tight game, because I think it will be. Nuno, he knows how to set up. He'll play a low block. He'll want to play on the counter, but I think we'll nick it 2-1. 2-1,
and we do need to get back to winning ways. Right, thank you, Matt. Go and pick the wife up. Let you go now.
Good to see you all. All the best. Take care.
We're going to continue on Cherries Red Army for a little bit longer, so John and Josh will stay with me. This is your opportunity to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. We're going to start talking about AFC Bournemouth taking on West Ham. And a lovely comment in there from Wing in the chat. Right, Josh, let's move on to West Ham, who have finally found some form under their new manager, Nuno. I think they've got back-to-back wins going into this fixture, which is highly annoying because we've gone into this fixture with back-to-back losses. So it's an interesting game. And I look at West Ham and I know that we have had winning days against them, but without me actually looking at the stats yet, it fills me with, I can remember just more frustrating days against West Ham, against the good days.
Yeah, I think our record is terrible against West Ham. I had a look at it the other day. I think we haven't won since in the league, other than the Betway Cup. I think it's 2019's the last one. And I think it's all of the last 4 games with Bournemouth and West Ham have ended in draws. So I think that kind of tells you all you need to know coming into the fixture. I think we've caught them obviously a bad time. They've caught us at a good time. So it's a tough game. I mean, we've had a lot of success. I would say the one thing to highlight is against Nuno. I think whenever we've come up against Nuno, I mean, you look at Nottingham Forest last year and we really had fun against them. So it's a tough game, and I'd probably expect quite a close one because West Ham are quite a bit of an older team in the Premier League, really, where they have a lot of height and physicality. I think they'll want to slow us down a bit and frustrate us. I think that's where they'll come in. I think they'll come in and want to get like a point at the ground. So we really need to score first for me, and we need to quickly get the pace on the game, hit them on the break, and use someone like Evan Nilsson maybe in behind, or Kropi, whoever starts, and really hit their sort of slower centre halves and use our pace.
My dog is trying to be part of the stream this evening. She's just literally come into the studio and is trying to be part of this. So I do apologize. John, there we go. John, I can remember you being at my place when we did a watch along to a very dire fixture at the London Stadium. That was a tough night. Yeah, I am really, I'm a little bit concerned, although I do fancy this. I know I said on the last stream that I really backed us, but it is concerned that they are now finding ways to win football matches.
Yeah, I remember that one. It was 2-0 away defeat, and it was very poor performance from us. Yeah, I mean, it is true. We just don't tend to do well against West Ham. I remember the pre-season game, and we lost that one 2-0, I want to say, and we absolutely battered them. Evan Nilsson hit the crossbar from about 3 yards out, or was the post, either was woodwork. And we had so many chances. They produced 2 counterattacks and scored 2 goals. And that is the kind of thing that West Ham can typically tend to do to us. It was obviously the earlier days that we had better time against them. Obviously, famously, Bournemouth's first ever win in the Premier League was away against West Ham. Yeah, the one thing I would say is that I was just scouring through any articles on Bournemouth as is our wont at times. And West Ham at the moment are off the back of the 2 international breaks before this have performed horribly in both of those 2 games. They off the back of international breaks, they played 2, lost 2. And their away records, they've only got 4 points, from 5 games. So, we've got the 3rd best home record in the division, and they are certainly a bottom half away side. So, all fingers point towards Bournemouth getting a result, certainly in this game, if not a win. However, it's a bit like they're not quite the same bogey side to us that Brentford are, but they're definitely in the list of teams that we could say we have a very tough time against, and that is just due to how they play. Generally, they are the oldest team in the league, I think, quite comfortably. But they also are a very physical, strong side that they can just about, because of their height, just have a bit of an advantage over us in the physical battle, and they play to that strength in long balls, crosses into the box. What you would say is they don't have Kudus anymore, so they don't have that tricky player that will that will make a menace of themselves. But
they still have
Bowen, they still have Paquetá.
He's suspended though. Paquetá's out.
Oh yes, Paquetá, of course. Yes, he's suspended, isn't he? So he's a loss for them. So, God, yeah, if we don't win this, then it will be very disappointing.
It will be.
But yeah, I do think we're definitely coming to this as strong favourite.
Josh, just something a little bit random here. TalkFan TV wants to know what the dog's name is. Now, she's a female, and it's got a link to Bournemouth. Do you want to guess what the dog's name is?
Oh, I don't want to be near. Is it Cherry?
It is. Correct. I think she just heard you. I don't know how she heard that, but she must have heard you through my headphones because she just woke up and her ears popped up. So absolutely, there you go, TalkFan TV. The dog's name been released. Let's get on with more pressing stuff. Let's move over to, let's have a look at predicted lineups. Take this with a pinch of salt though, Josh. I mean, this is off SofaScore. Let's have a look, see what they're saying. First time I've looked at this. Is that even come up, or we got a blank screen?
It's blank screen.
A blank screen.
Okay. Let's put it in there. There we go. Right. Okay, Josh. So they're saying, so we have to take this with a little bit of pinch of salt, but they're saying Petrovic, Truffert, Senesi, Diakite, Smith, Scott, Adams, Tavernier, Cliver, Evanilson, and Semenyo. So we know that Semenyo's potentially got an injury. We're not sure what the situation is with Smith. I think there's a lot of conversations potentially in the chat about Milo over Diakite. So the Bournemouth side to start with, what's your thoughts on what could happen an hour before kickoff on Saturday?
Yeah, I to be honest, I don't mind what's predicted. Obviously, if with injuries it's going to change, but in terms of the back line, I think for me, I would actually start Diakite at the weekend, purely because I think West Ham are more of a physical side, and they're a bit more robust. They want to put the ball in the air, and I think that more plays to his strengths. He's a little bit more sort of strong than Milo, who I thought was brilliant against Ollie Watkins, sort of man marking him and just being tight to him. But I don't think Callum Wilson's, obviously, we know he's not. Maybe his better days are gone now, and he's not really got the legs of Ollie Watkins. He's not going to stretch us as much. And I think that means Diakite is probably, for me, a better option. I think maybe if Jared Bowen obviously moves a bit more central, that may cause some problems. But I think I personally play Diakite. And if Adam Smith's fit, I'd also play him. I think it's important to get that sort of calm presence in the back line again. Maybe you could go Jimenez, because Brooksy's probably going to start, and maybe Brooksy's not got the pace again. And that means by bringing in Jimenez, it gives you a bit more pace down the right-hand side. But in terms of the back line, I'd be quite happy with that, I think.
Yeah, and we are unbeaten at home as well, John, if we want to spin it positively, and Milicevic has been part of that as well.
On mute again. Yeah, absolutely. It's a difficult one, because I'm fairly certain he's actually alternated the centre-back every other game in the last 5. I think has Milo come in every other one, or is something close to that. I do. It was a conversation that we had on the show about whether to start Milicevic or Diakite against Villa, and we came to the consensus we think we should give Diakite the nod for, like, he's the more senior player. You want to give him confidence. And then Milo started. So, I mean, I probably expect Diakite to come back in. The rest of it is, I mean, you certainly know that Drew Ferzanetti, Petrovic, Adam Scott are all definitely going to start. But then the rest is a bit more up in the air with Semenyo's injury. Tavernier probably will play, just we don't know where. He might be centre attack midfield. He might be on either wings. I'd like to see Brooks come back in personally. But then it's Ava or Krupi as a pretty good, hotly contested battle. And Jimenez actually came back early as well.
In the mix.
Well, yeah, possibly. And then a right back, Jimenez actually came back early from Spain under-21 duty, so we don't know whether he's got an injury or not. But it wasn't, to be fair, that the reason was not given that it was an injury. It was an other thing. I can't remember. I need to look it up again. But it wasn't down to an injury that he was brought back. So I don't know what happened there. But Jimenez could quite easily start a right back. I think the more interesting one for me is, almost more interesting, obviously, is West Ham, because I just seeing that come up there on SofaScore, I was like, why are they in a back 4? Because I just expect West Ham, particularly with Diouf coming in, who's absolutely a left wing back, or at least as far as I know him, to be much more of a left wing back than a left back. But their last 2 games, they have actually played with a back 4 in their 2 most recent games in their victories. And if Nuno switching to a right 4, that absolutely suits us, because we massively struggle dealing with teams that play in a back 5. It took some moment of brilliance from Semenyo to get through Fulham, and then when you think of when Brentford sort of shifted into a back 5, we didn't do anything against them in the cup, and I'm sure there's been another one so far this season we struggled against. So if they're playing a back 4, that absolutely suits us down to the ground, and it will be, can our wingers and the fullbacks really sort of actually, are they able to take advantage of going up against particularly Diouf, who's much more attacking than he is defensive, as much as he's decent defensively. But then Wan-Bissaka on the other side is a monster of a defensive force, so he's much more difficult to get past. But in the midfield, that will be a very interesting battle, because it's that physicality battle. They've just got the height difference, particularly in Souček. So can they compete well enough to win that battle?
Yeah, because I look at where their goals could come from, Josh. Callum Wilson is a bit of a fox in the box, but we know Ages is catching him up a little bit. Souček is a threat in the air. Bowen can score coming off the wing, but also we know he can score because he's done it before at Dean Court from 20-25 yards out. Summerfield's got trickery as well, so we need to be on it. And I do, similar to you, I am concerned if they score the first goal, it could be a tough day. Although I do back us to win this game and get back to winning ways.
yeah, as you said, West Ham do definitely have a couple of real goal threats. I think Jared Bowen's always going to be a worry. I think anytime he's got the ball in and around the box, you think he's going to score, and he's a great player. And again, Souček's one of them again that I've never really rated Souček, but he always seems to score goals. And even Juve, I don't think, maybe after the pre-season he had quite a lot of sort of ratings and people thought he was going to be really good. I don't think he's been amazing at West Ham, but he caused us quite a few problems in that friendly, I remember. And the one thing I was going to say about West Ham was actually about the midfield. I think it's gone quite under the radar how good their midfield has stepped up in recent times. And I think that's through bringing in Freddie Potts, who is sort of a graduate of their academy. And I watched him quite a bit last year because he's at Portsmouth. He's just a really, really tidy midfielder and he controls the game quite well. And again, he's next to Mateus Fernandes, who's quite a good creator. I don't know. I think it was one of their goals from last weekend. Fernandes just chipped a really nice curved ball over the opposition defence. So I think Tyler's going to have to really work his socks off because that's two good players for West Ham who can control the tempo and have the ball at their feet. And we've really got to sort of mark quite tightly, I think.
Agreed. Right. It's your moment, your time on this Wednesday evening here in the UK, because you might be watching us somewhere else in the world or watching us back on replay. But if you're watching us live on YouTube, this is your opportunity to get your score predictions in the chat now for AFC Bournemouth taking on West Ham, Dean Court on Saturday. Whilst you're doing that, we will have a quick look at the other fixtures going on. So what have we got this weekend? Because we want to stay in the top 10. So Burnley kick off early against Chelsea, AFC Bournemouth taking on West Ham, Brighton, Brentford, Fulham against Sunderland, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Wolves with Rob Edwards now taking on Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Manchester City, Leeds Villa, Arsenal, Tottenham, London Derby, and Manchester United, Everton on the Monday. John, if I was to say outside of Bournemouth, anything else you've got your mind on, got your eyes on?
Well, I mean, obviously at the moment we're level with 4 other teams on 18 points, which is Tottenham, Villa, United and Liverpool. So you're certainly looking at those teams and hoping that they can drop points somewhere. You don't think Liverpool are going to drop points at home to Forest, but you're hoping Spurs probably don't get anything much against Arsenal. Villa away at Leeds is a tough game as we found out, and then Man United. I'm guessing they play on the Monday at home to Everton. Yeah, so you're hoping that before Man United play, we've got ourselves possibly back into Europe with a win and a couple of those games being a bit more frustrating. But there's certainly the North London derby is obviously the big one from a neutral perspective, and with Spurs' away record, they might give Arsenal a bit of a scare, but I certainly expect the Gunners to come out on top in that game.
Because Josh, 3 points separating 10th and 3rd. Quite remarkable, really.
Yeah, and I think it's been an entertaining season, really, hasn't it? At the top of the bottom. I mean, Wolves are kind of the team at the bottom that we know are probably going to go down, but I think at the rest of it's been really entertaining. And for us, it's tricky because 1 week you're in the Champions League places, next you're sort of the top of the mid-table, and we've got to keep winning. We really do, and I think. I look at those fixtures and the teams around us. I think they've all got winnable games. John mentioned it there. I think maybe Wolves get a result this weekend. They got Palace. It's at home. Rob Edwards' first game, and he's obviously got all the links previously to Wolves. Maybe it's a fairy tale. And maybe Leeds at home again could cause Villa some problems, but Villa look really good at the minute. So it's really tough and it's really tight.
Right, let's get some score predictions out. Thank you for joining us live on Cherries Red Army this evening. Stephen Dye going straight in for a Cherries 2-1 win. I know we're really positive in the score predictions chat, but we should be positive this weekend. It could be a tough fixture, but we really have to find the winning formula again. Chris is going to join Stephen there with a 2-1. Steve Connor, thank you for your comments in the chat this evening. 2-2 if we're lucky. What's Wing saying here? Slowly we are getting back to getting points. Hope so. Mark Cole's also going for 2-1. We've got a 1-1 from Mark Singleton. We've got another 2-1. That seems to be the early score prediction, John. 2-1. What are you going with?
I do think that We've only conceded 2 goals at home, 2 goals so far at home this season in 5 games. So we are doing pretty well at home in terms of our defence. But I do feel like West Ham, we just can't seem to stop them from getting at least 1 goal at our place. So I am going to be confident and say we're going to win. But I do agree that 2-1 is probably the most likely result.
More score predictions going in the chat, and another 2-1. We've also got a 3-1, and we've got Morgan Scott also going 2-1, and Ben's joining us late. No worries. He's simply saying we are better than them. 3-0 to the Cherries. Josh, what's your score prediction then for Saturday? We need to get back to winning ways.
We do, and I don't want to dampen the mood, but there's just something about West Ham at home where we've got all the advantages and we should win and we need to win. It just makes me think it's going to be a 1-1. And I wish I was going to say 3-1, but West Ham have always been a team that we've struggled against. And I just think they're on form a little bit and just their style sort of goes against us so much. I just feel like it could be a draw.
Yeah. And I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that, but I've got to go in for a win. I think we just need to get back to winning ways. I'm going to go 2-1. I think it's going to be edgy. And it could be Josh's 1-1 till really late. Maybe now comes off and scores a 30-yard free kick or something. Who knows? But we need a 2-1. We need a 2-1. Absolutely. Fantastic stuff. Well, we are wrapping up this latest stream here on Cherries Red Army. It's been great to have Matt with us earlier. John's been on the stream, Josh as well. We had that tier list. Thank you again to anyone who's watched this back on replay, and do use the comments for that. I'm not sure if there's a match day vlog. I'm actually in hospitality this weekend, so I'll see what I can do, but I'll definitely drop some fan thoughts after the game, and I'll drop them on Cherries Red Army. That'll be definitely the minimum plan. John, final thoughts then? Wrapping up another stream here. A few weeks have gone by, and we'll come back to hopefully a West Ham victory to the Cherries.
Yeah, I was going to say a Bournemouth victory, not a West Ham victory. Just to say that I'm just glad that the club football is back. International football has been pretty good this past week and a bit, but that's because all the jeopardy has reached its climax, and we've obviously had a few Bournemouth players involved in goals as well, which has been great. But yeah, I'm fully behind club football coming back, and looking forward to seeing the boys out there on Saturday.
I think that's it, Josh. No more international breaks until March. We can just enjoy lots of club football.
Lovely, isn't it? I mean, I'm looking forward to the World Cup, but I mean,
yeah,
too many international breaks, and I completely agree. It's really nice to sort of have club football back now and for a prolonged period. I mean, December, you think about the amount of games, it's going to get busy quickly. So it's nice that it's back, and hopefully we'll get back to winning ways.
Hopefully. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, John. Thank you, Matt. And hopefully players get fit, and we've got a good squad going into a busy Christmas period very, very soon. We've got the new performance centre, so they should recover quickly. We've got Foundations, by the way, on YouTube now. I'm halfway through it, going to watch the rest after this. Very, very interesting stuff around the performance centre, the new training grounds, and maybe they'll do a similar documentary for the upgrade of Dean Court coming down the road. Tonight, though, we have wrapped up our latest stream. Do get behind the team on Saturday. Look after yourself. Thank you for supporting the Cherries Red Army. Do subscribe, hit the like button. And guess what? We'll see you on the next one. You Reds.
You Reds.